Velvet Note's a place where you can see and hear world-class musicians in a setting that's as intimate and as comfortable as your living room. We give you a chance to get to know the musicians and to hear the music the way that it was meant to be heard. This is a listening room. We had our acoustics designed by a protege of a Hollywood director, George Lucas, under his guidance, to be the highest quality, unenhanced sound available today. We've won 8 consecutive awards from Downbeat magazine for being one of the top 100 jazz clubs in the world. And, boy, time flies since I founded this from a powder blue frozen yogurt shop next to a sub shop in a Brazilian wax salon. We've been here 13 years! One of our absolute favorites is Joe Gransden, and by the fierceness of your reservations, I would say that yours is too, right? Joe Gransden, so first of all, I want you to know that when I was thinking about and planning to bring a jazz club to the Atlanta suburbs, I called a list of my hit list, my list of people who would be good to get. And one of those people on the list was Joe Gransden. And he answered my call, and I said, look, I don't have a building yet, I don't have any equipment yet, but I'd really like for you to play the Velvet Note once I build it. And he said, done. And then he went back to doing what he did at 6 o'clock in the morning, which is taking care of his newborn child. And making reservations to play at other gigs. He is truly one of the hardest working men in show business. He's recently closed out the Atlanta Jazz Festival. He plays, somewhere around 250, 300 gigs a year, all over the country, but mostly here. And he has a killer band with him. He always does, including Dr. Jeffrey Hayden on piano, Craig Shaw on upright bass, and Dave Pope on drum. So we're so happy to have him. He's going to play trumpet, he's going to sing, he's going to do what he does. He may even crack a few jokes. You can laugh if you want. And we've got great food and great spirits in you. Are you ready? Yes! Okay, I need you Saturday night ready. Are you ready? Put your hands together for the Joe Gransden Quartet!
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Wonderful. Dave Cope on the drums. How about Dave? Dr. Chet Baker on the piano. How about a nice hand for Dr. Jeff? And on the bass tonight, the one and only Craig Shaw. Today was just another day. Tomorrow is a guess. But yesterday, what I'd give for yesterday, to relive one yesterday, and its happiness. When Joanna loved me, every town was Paris. Every day was Sunday. Every month was May. When Joanna loved me, every sound was music. Music made of laughter. Laughter that was bright and gay. But when Joanna left me, May became December. Even in December, I remember her warmth and her smile, and for a little while she loves me. Once again, it's Paris, Paris on a Sunday, and the month is May. Thank you very much. Good evening. How are you tonight? Welcome to the Velvet Note. Not a bad spot, right? This is it, man. This is it. So nice and intimate and great sound man. Red's back there running sound for us and wonderful staff. This is just such a wonderful establishment. I live in Roswell now, so this is like I could almost walk. I took my golf cart here. How cool is that? Played 9 holes and ran over here. We're thrilled to be here. We love coming here. We just got back from New York City. We played in New York City at Lincoln Center, which was a real thrill. Thank you very much. Where else we played? We played in Bernardsville. We played in this beautiful town of Bernardsville, New Jersey, where Tommy Dorsey had this 30,000 square foot mansion. We had such a great time there. We played Caesars in Vegas. That was cool, right? It was Little Caesars where they make the pizza, but we still got to go to Vegas. Anyway, we're thrilled to be here tonight. I brought with me the greatest, the best musicians that I can get for this kind of money. I'm just kidding. I brought with me the best, the top-notch dogs, Dave Pope, Craig Shaw, and Dr. Jeff Hayden. We're going to swing for you. Give them a round of applause. And we have a couple different things we want to do tonight. In New York, we were celebrating Chet Baker. Are you Chet Baker fans? We did a Chet Baker show here not too long ago. And we got to go up to New York City and do this Chet Baker show. And coming up, if you've followed me around town a little bit, you know I have this 17-piece big band. And we're getting ready to perform the songs, the music of Johnny Mercer. at the Roswell Cultural Arts Center on September 7th, which is a Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. So we're kind of getting back into the Johnny Mercer Songbook, and it just so happens that one of Chet Baker's biggest hits from his CTI recording way back in the 1970s, the early 70s, is a song called Autumn Leaves. Johnny Mercer classic, Chet Baker classic, and they put a little twist to the arrangement of it. So we thought we'd kind of jump right into that so that we could promote Johnny Mercer a little bit. And I know you love Johnny Mercer, right? Where's Johnny Mercer from? Savannah, Georgia, right? Not too far from here. And we do a show every couple of years in honor of Johnny Mercer. So we're gonna keep it moving with Autumn Leaves. And I am gonna take this mute here. Do you ever see this mute? Who knows what this is? Any trumpet players here? A wah-wah. This is a harmon mute, but yeah, you're right. When you put that little thing in the end, you go wah, 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 wah. So there's a guy that's playing this right now. That's all over the world. What's his name? He uses this mute quite often. What's his name? Chris Bodie. You ever heard Chris Bodie? But Miles Davis really kind of put this mute on the map, and it's fun for trumpet players because it gives the horn a really cool sound, a really jazzy sound, and we can play out of tune and you won't know because of that. So I'll show you kind of what the vibe is. Sounds like a jazz club, doesn't it? Yeah! All I need is a drink and some heroin and we're by my window, the autumn leaves are red and gold. I see your lips, the summer kisses, sunburned hands I used to hold. Since you went away, the days grow long, and soon I'll hear winter song. But I miss you most of all, my darling, when autumn leaves start to fall. Dr. Jeff. I see your lips, the summer kisses, summer hands I used to hold. Since you went away, the days were long. Should I hear old winter song? But I wish you were gone, my darling. When autumn leaves summer fall. Johnny Mercer, right? Can't go wrong with Johnny Mercer. What's Johnny Mercer's biggest hit? Moon River. What's it? Moon River, that's right, that's a good one. Glad he said Moon River and not something else that I didn't know. Want to hear a few bars of Moon River? You like that song? Yeah. It's a pretty song, right? That's all I know. So don't forget, September 7th, big band at Gransden Cultural Arts, the music of Johnny Mercer. So we want to try something for you now that I've never performed before, this arrangement. This is exciting for me because Monday, in 2 days, I'm going in the studio to record a new record. I don't know if it's called a record, or a CD, or an 8-track, I don't know what they are anymore. Does anybody still have a CD player? Who still has a CD player? All right, and I expect you guys to buy 600 of these things. And my good friend Kenny Banks, Sr., you probably know Kenny Banks Jr. and Sr. Kenny Banks Sr. and I have been playing together since, I think, 1996. I remember because I met him on my birthday. I just turned 20, he was 58, I remember that. He wouldn't like that, he's very young and handsome. So he is producing this record for me, and we chose a bunch of songs that are from the Great American Songbook, but some things that are a little bit off the beaten path, like this next one that Perry Como made famous back in the day. It's called And I Love You So, and it's a beautiful song, and Kenny Banks put this really hip little arrangement together, and I have to record it Monday, so can I try it out on you guys? It may not go great, but I'm going to give it my best. And I'm going to play this instrument just a little bit up front on it. What's this called? Flugelhorn. That's right. Everybody's like, is this class? Or we got any questions you want to ask us, Joe? Let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3. And I love you so. The People ask me how I've lived till now. I tell them I don't know. I guess they understand how lonely life has been. But life began again the day you took my hand. And yes, I know how lonely life can be. The shadows follow me, and the night won't set me free. But I don't let the evening get me down. Now that you're around, your thoughts are just for me. You set my spirit free. I'm happy that you do. The book of life is brief, and once a page is read, all but life is dead. That is my view. And yes, I know how lonely life can be. The shadows follow me, and the night won't set me free. But I don't let the evening get me down. Now that you're around me. You like it? You know that song, right? Some of you know that song? Yes, a lot of times people don't remember that song, but I just fell in love with it. I heard Shirley Bassey sing it. I heard Perry Como had the big hit on it. A lot of people have done it. Don McLean, I think, wrote it maybe. Harry Connick Jr. did it. Just a beautiful song. So I'm very excited to record that, and I hope you all buy 700 of them. So So I've fallen in love with this instrument again, this flugelhorn. This is the flugelhorn that I played in high school in Buffalo, New York in the 1980s. That's how long ago I went to high school. And of course, I got held back 9 times too. I recently have got this thing back out, and I'm working on it quite regularly to get in shape, because it's not easy to play this thing. It's got a very big mouthpiece, and it's got a big bell, and it takes a lot of air and a lot of wind. And there's a gentleman that's a hero to all of us trumpet players, and to probably a lot of musicians. His name is Chet Baker, and he just passed away last week, unfortunately. And Chuck was 84 years old and lived his whole life in Rochester, New York. And I grew up in Buffalo, so every once in a while we'd sneak up to Rochester, and he wouldn't be on the road. He'd just be hanging out with his brother Gab and his parents, and you'd see him at a little jazz club or something. And he just wrote so many beautiful songs. So we've been hired, and Jeff is helping with the arrangements to do some tribute concerts to Chuck Baker. And if you do those concerts, you have to play the flugelhorn. That's what he brought this to the forefront. You know, he was with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers on trumpet in the very early 1960s. And then him and his brother Gap put a quartet together, and they toured around quite a bit. But he wanted to go to New York City, and he wanted to see if he could make it on his own, writing his own music and coming up with kind of an identity, kind of like Kenny G with the hair, right, or Chris Bodie with the Chet Baker good looks, or Chuck had the hat, and he had that long beard and the long hair and the flugelhorn. So he kind of went his route and became a superstar. He wrote so many beautiful songs. We're just going to do one tonight for you, just to see if I can get this thing singing a little bit, okay? This was his biggest hit. It's called Feels So Good. In honor of the late, great Chuck Baker. recognize that song? That was a huge hit in the 1970s, and it had so many wonderful hits, so we're putting them all together. We're going to do a whole Chuck Mangione show. We're very excited about it. We brought with us tonight Craig Shaw on the bass. Now, Craig's been in the music business here in Atlanta since, when did you, 1990, maybe 91, Craig? 1921. He's been here. He looks good for his age, man. He looks good for his age, man. By the way, he's celebrating, him and his wife are celebrating their 25th wedding anniversary next week. How about that, man? He's such a good guy. I said, Craig, what'd you do for your wife for your 20th wedding anniversary? He said, well, I took her to Tokyo. I said, wow, what are you going to do for your 25th? He said, I want to go get her. Thank you for laughing. So Craig's been on the scene here in Atlanta for many, many years, and I met him at, was it Georgia State University? Yes. Yeah, and we became friends instantly. And when I first started playing at Churchill Grounds, the very famous Churchill Grounds here in Atlanta, I had every Wednesday night, I think, for about 10 years, and Craig would join me, and he's worked with everybody in the business, but he could have been out there in the world, famous, traveling and doing all that, and he instead wanted to stay close to family and take all the money from all the other bass players here in Atlanta. So he is the busiest bass player and the best bass player in town, and nobody knows how to play the blues like Craig Shaw. And you want to hear Craig play the blues? All right, let's do this record. So I want to make sure. In fact, maybe I'll use this thing on this. This is I just got this in the bathroom back there. This is a plunger mute, man. It's exactly what you think it is, but this was bought at a music store, and this is appropriate for this blues. Have you seen one of these? The people that haven't played the trumpet before. Okay, so if you haven't. So that's where we're going with this song.
Let's go, Craig.
Are you enjoying yourselves? Kind of like a good blues to finish it out, right? We really have a good time. We love this club, and we know you love supporting it, and we appreciate it so much. And I want to once again have it sound like 1,000 people for the great Dave Pope on the drums. And of course, you gotta give it up for Dr. Jeff Hayes on the piano. And you heard him play the bass for about 45 minutes at the beginning of this song. And he was swinging so hard that you could really feel the pain and the blues in his soul, because he's the one and only Craig Shaw. We had a good time performing for you. My name's Gransden. Thank you. And I guess we got to do something on the blues here. I don't have any lyrics, so I might need your help. We'll see what happens. Well, I've got the blues. Don't know why I've got the blues. What rhymes with blues? Yeah, baby, I've got the blues. Well, I've got the blues. I don't know why I've got the blues. Baby, it's 'cause I lost my shoes.
So I'm going to say everything I have to say.
Okay.
And then I'll be gone. So, many of you don't know, a few of you do, that I started a podcast. I know, so people kept telling me, I'd like to hear your voice when I'm not here, because I have trouble falling asleep. Allow me to oblige. So it's called the Speakeasy Show. And it's crazy deep conversations with people whose lives have been impacted by great music and specifically jazz. In our lineup we have the great Ron Carter, for example, but also NBA star David Robinson, political pundit George Conway, pop star Cyndi Lauper. And so the gentleman who stepped up with courage to be my very first is Joe Gransden. And Joe Gransden's interview is righteous. It is so good. I just can't say enough. So go to where you go for podcasts and look it up. And he tells you all those things that, I mean, you know a lot about him, but there's a lot you don't know. And it's inspiring. So I just wanted to put that out there, is that he really shares a lot about himself. And we appreciated that. we would love to have you back here. And you can find all of our upcoming shows at thevelvetnote.com. And we're having a great summer, and we're going to continue to do so. So I hope you'll tell people about us and come on back. Okay? I'm going to stand at the back door to leave. I am both the hug department and the complaint department. Take it, Joe.
Would you like one more quick one?
We'll finish up with an Ellis Marsalis composition. We just played this up in New York City. It's called Swinging at the Haven.